What if we give that demon Lisa's blood? Jasmine suddenly realized and asked Edward, eagerly, leaving him stunned. It's impossible how we will get her blood at this moment. What will happen if you give it? She repeated her question, interrupting the conversation. So maybe this whole bloody game will end eventually, because Lisa is the one who called this devil and made this deal with him. If she doesn't stay, no more girls will be victims of him, and this devil will also return to where he belongs. Hell. When Edward gave a possible answer, the spark of hope in Jasmine's heart lit up even more. But where is Lisa's blood here? Edward questioned. In my bag, at the last sign of my papa. The reply was not immediately understood by Edward. The bells of the antique clock had reached midnight, causing the distinctive sound of the clock to ring out in the silence of the castle. The door opened to a large empty room where many candles were burning, and in the center of the room was a star made of ashes in a circle. Edward and Jasmine entered the room together. Edward had put his black long coat back on. He came forward and placed the white handkerchief in the center of the star, and took a step back to stand next to Jasmine. The same handkerchief that Jasmine always had with her as a sign of her late father. And that day, when Lisa injured her hand while telling a false love story, Jasmine absorbed her blood in it as a coincidence. Lisa had hurried to send her away so quickly that Jasmine didn't even have a chance to clean up the mess from the napkin, and she brought it with her just like that, which was now going to prove to be the reason for Lisa's death. Edward and Jasmine held each other's hands tightly, their fingers intertwined. Both of them were looking at each other, and their conversation of some time ago was echoing in the mind. I'm not leaving here, Edward, until I make one attempt to free you and end this bloody game. Jasmine remembered her words. And if you die today, I die with you. Edward remembered his answer. Suddenly, a strange, evil laughter echoed in the silent atmosphere of the room, which startled both of them. At the same time, there was a very strange sound of someone's breathing, as if someone was sniffing something very strongly. Jasmine was regularly crawling, and Edward understood that the devil had come to get his possession. The handkerchief placed in the center of the star suddenly disappeared, after which there was complete silence. Both did not know what would happen next bridge. Those people will be free forever after getting rid of this trouble? Or will it prove to be the last night of his life? Suddenly, the castle began to rumble. Its doors and walls began to shake. Perhaps this castle was also standing on the strength of the same evil forces, and now it is about to fall. Run quickly! Edward grabbed Jasmine's hand and immediately ran outside. Vandalism had also started in the hall. The luxurious chandeliers on the ceiling were falling to the ground with loud noises, from which these people could barely reach outside. On the other side of the state, Lisa's body in H had started to turn white and was lying on the ground. Her beautiful features had turned into an ugly old woman. She became a victim of the same women she destroyed every year on Halloween Eve in exchange for her beauty. Edward and Jasmine had come a long way out of the castle, slightly injured. In front of their eyes, the magnificent castle collapsed to the ground, and now it was just a pile of wreckage with a lot of dust flying around. We did it. Both looked at each other happily. Edward, your eyes and complexion... Jasmine was surprised. What happened? He did not understand. Your eyes turned from blue to black, and your complexion turned from snowy to tan. When Jasmine noticed, she also looked at his hands involuntarily. The magic chain that held me here has been broken, and the extraordinary powers that I received as a weapon are gone. Now I am not a slave to a demon, but free as a normal human, perhaps, he concluded. You're free, Jasmine confirmed happily, cupping his face in both hands. And it's only because of you. Edward pulled her closer to him. Not because of us, because of our love, courage, thoughtfulness, and effort. Jasmine corrected with a smile. In response, Edward kissed her lips and took her fully into him, which was the promise of a new happy life for her. A year later, October 31st, the year 1931. As soon as the Halloween season came, people in this small town started preparations according to their ability when it was getting night and the people walking around was very colorful. Dressed in a white floral gown with a red apron over it, working in the kitchen, Jasmine was very busy today as her bakery was thronged with people on normal days. But on festive occasions, the number doubled. Here, everyone loved her handmade things, which were praised by everyone, and Jasmine used to smile and give all the credit to her late father, thanks to whom she got this skill. After putting the things in the oven to bake, she went to the counter and started preparing other things. Then, someone came from behind and put his hands on her eyes. "Don't worry, Edward. There's still a lot of work to do," she said reassuringly. "Then when should I bother you?" The wicked question was asked while removing his hand from her face. He rested his chin on her shoulder. "After getting help with the work," she answered, turning towards him. The distance in between was still negligible. "What should I help?" Then came the query. "Taste it and tell me how it's made." Jasmine held a spoon and fed him the chocolate dessert. "You make it and you don't make it good. Has it ever happened?" At the same time, he raised his hand to clean the chocolate on his lips, which was stopped by Jasmine. "I'll help clean up," she said, moving closer and capturing his lips with hers. A very pleasurable feeling for Edward. Living like a normal human being, now there was no fear or confusion in his life, only love. Not obsessive love that hurts. Soothing, soft, and charming love. "Is that chocolate again?" Edward asked meaningfully as he pulled away. "Yes, what to do?" She was confused. "To eat again," came the expected reply. "It's not good to eat something so sweet," Jasmine denied with a deepening smile. Before he could say anything, there was a knock on the door. "It's probably the kids," Jasmine concluded. Edward went to open the door. "Trick and treat?" said the 4 little children dressed in scary costumes. "What would you like a treat?" Edward asked obediently. "Cupcakes, chocolate, and a story," came the monotonous reply. "Present." Just then Jasmine also came here with some boxes in her hand and moved them towards them. "And the story?" asked a girl. Once upon a time, there was a princess in a big castle who was imprisoned by a dangerous demon. On a few wooden steps down from the porch of her small wooden house, Jasmine was sitting with the 4 children telling them a story, and they were listening intently. The house also kept some scary-looking pumpkins, with candles burning inside for Halloween. Then one day a prince comes there, and after fighting the devil, frees the princess and takes her to his palace, and then both of them start living happily. It was a good story, wasn't it? Ask for feedback. No. It was just an old story. Then Edward sat next to her. Why is the princess imprisoned in every story? And why is the prince the hero who comes to save her? A princess can also be a hero, he added. Yes, Uncle Edward is right. Why can't a princess be brave in a story? The little girl also enthusiastically agreed. I don't even know the answer to that, but I have a story about a brave princess. Will you hear it out? Edward offered. Absolutely, came the unanimous reply. So listen, it is mentioned once that a prince got trapped in a big castle and remained trapped for many years, after which he also became very bad. He forgot that he used to be an innocent person. Then one day a cute but brave princess comes to this castle who's not afraid of him at all, but tries to fix him and reminds him that he is imprisoned here. He's also very bad. He realizes that he is not as good as he has become, but he can't get out of the castle because a demon is holding him. Only then does the genius princess free him from prison by using a trick. They come to a small town and get married and live happily together. Edward turned his heartwarming story into a light-hearted story, which Jasmine listened to with interest, along with the children. Wow, this story was good. I will grow up to be brave like this princess. The girl liked it very much. Come on, children. Get the candies. Just then a woman addressed everyone loudly, and the children ran towards her. It was a good story. Jasmine smiled and started to get up. Yes, but I forgot to mention one thing in the story. Edward took her hand and sat her back down. What thing? That's how the princess accepted the prince with his lifelong ugly scars, he said, opening a button on his shirt to reveal a glimpse of his wounded body. Just let this be between the prince and the princess. Jasmine kissed the visible part of his chest. In response, Edward thrust her into him with all his love, which proved to be like a salve to every wound. The end.